So hello and welcome all of you. Super excited to have Teri here. Teri is my mentor coach. And I've had the privilege of working with her and learning from her. So I'm super excited to have her presenting with all of you. She is the world's first MCC, which is pretty exciting. Purposeful coaching leader since 1987. So we often call Teri the grandmother of coaching. If she's heard that one. So she has earned the Global Coaching Leadership Award and the ICF Circle of Distinction. She is the founder of one of my competitors. We're competitors, right, Teri? She has Success Unlimited Network, the Sun School. So she does coach training, just as we do here at the Center for Coaching Certification. And we met through ACTO, the Association of Coach Training Organizations, and we call it co-opetition. All of the different schools cooperating while at the same time we're all competing. So lots of fun there. Her program is rooted in life purpose and spirituality. Parallel to coaching and coach training, her fascination has been exploring, learning, and facilitating classes about ancient wisdom that serves as the foundation of the coaching profession. Her second book, Coaching with Spirit, and 30 other plus Amazon publications are the fruits of her passion. And then she's got her next class called the Kybalion, partnering in the field of wisdom, beginning in May. So with that, Teri, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Kathy. And hello, everybody. I'm as excited as Kathy. I'm more excited because I know what it is that I get to do, which is share my passion with you. Now you're wondering, why are we talking about ancient wisdom in a coaching webinar? Well, that's because coaching competencies are the foundation of our profession, right? And ageless wisdom is the foundation of the coaching competencies and the principles of coaching. So I just put them together. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. The wisdom that I am going to bring forth comes from something that Kathy mentioned. And thank you for the introduction, Kathy. The name of it is the Kybalion. It's the 7 principles of life. And I'm going to put that name in the chat along with, there we are, along with the link. I'm doing that because it's not a known word and no one knows what Kybalion means. It's never been put out there. I've researched it for a long time, never found its origin. The link I'm giving you because nowadays the Kybalion is becoming pretty popular. I've even seen t-shirts and there's probably a thermometer out there with the name on it. And it's available for a lot of different costs and different ways, but please get the free one because that's really what was intended. That's the original one in English. Of course, it's in all languages already. Why is this so significant? Well, because the Kybalion presents how life works. And to be effective coaches, we have to have some idea about how life works. You might say it's the operations manual for living in harmony with the universe and continuing the development of our soul. That's what the Kybalion is. I'd like to say a quick word about my connection with the Kybalion to establish validity to be a facilitator of these profound conversations. I am a wisdom seeker and a student of the Kybalion for 47 years. Actually, it was 1974. I was in a bookstore in Needham, Massachusetts, And it was like an Alice in Wonderland bookstore. If you can imagine this, there was a room, and then the next room got smaller and smaller, and you walked back and smaller, and there were pillows on all the floors of these different rooms. Well, I went all the way to the back, and I sat down, and this fell from 3 shelves above on my shoulder. This is the Kybalion. I thought it didn't hurt. So I was curious. I opened it up, and this is what I read. When the pupil is ready to receive the truth, then will this little book come to him or her. Such is the law, the Hermetic Principle of Law, cause and effect, in its aspect of the law of attraction. That's a common phrase these days. It will bring lips and ears together. So mote it be, which is so may it be in our updated language. Oh, how interesting. So why are you particular people here with me now? This is part of it. You are here because you have the ears of understanding. The Kybalion says the lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding. So you must have ears of understanding, or you wouldn't be here with me, just like the Kybalion wouldn't have bopped me on the shoulder. Please, please, though, do remember that what I share are my perspectives from my decades of working with this. It is my intention to do the best job I can to compare the coaching competencies, each one, with some of the principles of the Kybalion. In our time together, I'll touch in on 5 of the 7 principles. Recognizing you might not share my perspective, hold this perception. What if? Okay? So that if this time together brings you some pause for reflection, then I will have succeeded. My aim is not to get you to agree with me or the Kybalion, but if there's any curiosity that wants you to think about it further, I will consider myself successful and our time successful. So what is the Kybalion? It is a collection of Greek and Egyptian philosophy compiled by someone named, this needs to go in the chat too, Hermes Trismegistus. Have any of you heard this name before? Nod your head. No. Yeah, a couple have. Okay. Hermes Trismegistus. Around the year 2300 BC. That's a long time ago. It is said that Hermes collected enough information, enough wisdom from father to son, generations, father to son. It was the fathers and the sons those days. Father to son, he collected it all, and he had enough for more than 42 books. He put it into summary form on an emerald tablet, something that looks something like this, which is actually in an Egyptian museum, and from the Arabic language has been translated into Latin. And it contains the secrets of the universe, the principles that control the universe. An emerald tablet. All fundamental. Oh, the emerald tablet was hidden in a desert to preserve the sacredness of all the wisdom about life. Fundamental teachings of every modern race religion can be traced back to Hermes' work, as we will see as we move through this. That includes the Bible, the Kabbalah, the Jewish mysticism, the Quran, Buddhism, Tao. It's all sourced in the Kybalion. And of course, what religions did is they took this piece or that piece and they made a religion. And then they started fighting about mine is the right way, mine is the right way. But that's what they did. It all comes from the Kybalion. Hermes' mission was to teach all those who are ready, and that means ears are open, the secrets of the invisible universe. We will talk about what's invisible shortly. I'm going to organize this by our updated competencies. So let's dive in and get started. Let's start with demonstrates ethical practice. What does this wisdom have to do with that?
And Teri, when do you want me to email out the handouts that you have?
Whatever is best for you, Kathy. I have written all of the wisdom pieces on a page so that you don't need to write all that down.
Yeah. And to let all of you know, I'm sending each of you an email. Just sent it, and it's got handouts from Teri right in it for you.
Right. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. And feel free to write. You know, my style is when I write, it goes in the brain better. So, but that's there as a reference for you. So demonstrates ethical practice. Oh, that one is dear to me and to Kathy. Kathy was my boss in ACTO as we worked on the coach training ethics. What does ancient wisdom say? Being ethical is resonating and responding to the truth and harmony of alignment with the natural and positive flow of life. How do we do this? Using mental power and vibrational transmutation. Okay. We'll get into this some more, but that's how it's done. Not that it's easy, but that's how it's done. It makes me immediately think of our ethics code number 28. I am aware of my and my clients' impact on society. Right? I adhere to the philosophy of doing good versus avoiding bad. You can see a direct connection. Now, underlying ethical practice is dependent upon the first principle of the Kybalion, which is mentalism. The Kybalion says, well, let me give you one definition of something first. The all. The all is what the Kybalion calls, what I have heard called God, source, morphogenetic field, the universal whisper, the field of all possibilities, the ether. There are many words that we use. The Kybalion simply calls it the all. Okay. The difference between masters and novices of this wisdom is that novices, I'll put myself in that category, are applying these things randomly, haphazardly, inconsistently, whereas masters apply it intentionally and intelligently and intentionally. So it's all about the mentalism. It's all about the mental. Those who are masters can not only change their own mental state like that, but also the states of others. It's intriguing. Not that we want to change our clients' mental states, but this is power that we do have. Let's explore the considerations of what is needed to be ethical. Here's my fancy high-tech Play-Doh, because I'm going to demonstrate using a seed. I have a seed planted in here. as a metaphor, using a seed, we need to consider when we create an intention, what soil do we plant it in? How can I show it to you best? Need a background. Okay, there's a small star coming out of this. It'll get bigger because we need to know things like what soil do we plant it in? Use it as a metaphor. What is the soil? Go further. Here it comes. When is the right time to plant it? This intention. Is now the right time, or do we need to wait? Seed grows further. How are we planting it? That has to do with our level of awareness and consciousness, all wrapped up in our vibrations. I mean, I can't imagine waking up on a morning saying, I think I'll do something unethical as a coach. You know, that wouldn't be the container within which a good intention would be put forth. And then we want to know why. Do I truly understand what my intention is? What I want, my true intention? All of these define the outcomes that we get. There's a little star there. But all of these are necessary to make the seed work. And all of these things are part of what the Kybalion explains are necessary in order for intentions to manifest. And the outcome we get will either be ethical or not. So we have to be fully conscious about these considerations when we set an intention, when we work with an intention. Right? I consider that to be the foundation of ethics. Let's go to competency number 2. In the updated competencies, this is our new one. Or is it new? It's called Embodies a Coaching Mindset. Words that we use in coaching to describe this competency are open, curious, flexible, client-centered, responsible for choices, ongoing learning, reflective practice, that's awareness of ourself, aware of the contextual and cultural influences around us, regulating our emotions, and mental and emotional preparation. How curious that when one is all these things, one has created a being space that precisely meets the definition of the Hermetic space, known as the space of dunamis. Anyone ever heard of that word before? I doubt it. Now, in Hermetic times, the Hermes, the Egyptian and Greek philosophy, it meant power or force. Not at all what our power or force mean. Not at all. It was the space that Aristotle and Plato used in their profound conversations. They created this dunamis space. What is it? It is the space for creative potentiality. Okay, the space of potential where we can create. It's the space of creative emergence, a space where things can emerge. What emerges? New ideas, possibilities, and following the seed, they will take root and fertilize in this dunamis space. ICF did a fine job naming all the qualities needed to create the dunamis space. And it all comes from ageless wisdom. I haven't asked anyone who developed the new competencies whether or not they were aware of dunamis, but it's not a very common word. And it does mean power or force, but it means the power of the space for us to be in that allows creative emergence and possibility. Beautiful space. Now, one of those words is curiosity. And I did some exploration about how did questions arise in the space of dunamis. Questions are pretty important to coaches. You'd all agree? Yeah. Okay. And I discovered the following, and I'll show it to you on the screen and then take it off and speak about it. I discovered that good questions are sandwiched in silence, that the coach has a question emerge from silence. The coach is not premeditating what they're going to say when the client stops talking. There's some silence, and then something comes up. And maybe it's spoken and maybe it's not. But it starts with the coach's silence. If the client hasn't continued talking and the coach wants to ask the question, there it goes. And what happens? There's silence again, because a good question cannot be answered instantly. It requires some reflection or thought. So that's why I say questions are sandwiched in silence. And I think that's what happened in the space of dunamis. I want to share a very quick story. I had a mentor named Giuseppe Melli years ago, and he knew I was fascinated with questions because for the first 10 years of coaching, I collected the best questions that I've heard or that I could find from everything, from every seminar, webinar, coaching experience. I had pages and pages of questions. And he had this sort of bemused look, and he said, "Teri, pick your favorite 10 questions. I'd love to know what they are." Oh, what a wonderful thing to ask me to do. So I picked 10 and I shared it with him. And he said, "Don't ask these questions again. Allow questions to emerge in the moment." Boy, that wasn't wise for me. I think you get the message. Okay, I'm going to ask you if you have any paper or if you're typing on the computer or whatever, if there's anything that you have already learned that would be something you want to make a note of, where you could take some action and try it out in the next whatever, week, 2 weeks. Make a note of that now, please. We're going to collect a few of these. You don't have to share them. Okay. Good. The people I can see are ready, so I will continue. Let's go to the next competency, the coaching competency. Establishes and maintains agreements. I have a lot to say about this one. So to establish agreement in the ancient wisdom language, one needs to tap into the vast field of vibrational energy to find synergy for the partnership, in our case, client and coach. Tap into the vast field of vibrational energy. It's a partnership that includes human desire of both. It's a partnership that has connection and also personal growth. That's what this partnership is. And the coach and the client together co-create that vibrational chord through clear intention and focus and ultimately agreement. And then it becomes materialized into form, right? I like to think of it as setting the stage for the experience of alignment between two people's shared purpose. I think it's a lovely way of explaining agreement. And what do we agree on? What is coaching and what is not? What is offered and what is not? What are my responsibilities and what are yours? What is confidential and what is not? What's within our coaching boundaries and what is not? Are we compatible or are we not? Those are some of the things, but you'll notice that these are opposites, either this or that. This world is made up of opposites, but there's no right or wrong answer, and that is why agreement is necessary. The ageless wisdom of the Kybalion has a principle known as polarity, which is about opposites. It suggests a relationship between two opposites, and it is required for learning. How do we reconcile opposites? First, the Kybalion says there are no absolutes. Everything is on a continuum because everything is vibrating. You can't stop a vibration and say that's it. Everything continues vibrating. So it's on a big continuum, but they differ in degree. All right. So that would mean, if we translate that into common talk, there's no such thing as hot or cold, large or small, east or west, because everything is relative, and eventually polarities meet. Let's look at east and west. I live in New England, US, 1 block from the ocean. The Atlantic Ocean is east of me. Is anyone here living west of me? If you are, just put the place in the chat, please. Okay. Excellent. I'm looking at Ohio, Westfield in Massachusetts, West Michigan, Ohio. Wonderful. Okay, let me pick Ohio, Missouri. Huh? Let me pick Ohio. Thank you, since I went to college there. Let's say whoever is in Ohio, Meg, let's say you and I come to you and now we are both in Ohio. Let's go west, Meg. Let's go further. Where can we go to? What's more west?
Missouri.
Missouri, yeah. Okay, let's go to Missouri. And who do we pick up there? We pick up Darla. We're coming to visit you, Darla. Now we're west. Can we go more west? Anyone here travel to any place more west? Put the word on the screen. Hawaii. Oh, now we're going west. Okay, now we're in Hawaii. Are we west yet, or can we go more west? Of course, you all know we can keep going west. I mean, we can go across the oceans and be in Asia and then Europe, and eventually you're going to end up right where I am. We've only gone west. That's how the Kybalion explains the continuum. If everything is on a continuum, how can you get to agreement if there really are no opposites? The answer lies within the polarity principle. It requires mastering the mind. To destroy an undesirable vibration, what would be possibly considered an opposite, we concentrate on its opposite. Here's a coaching example. And we do this all the time. I just want to show you how it comes from the Kybalion polarity principle. I was assessing the final of one of my students, and the student's client said, I want to stop getting so frustrated at work. The student coach appropriately said something like, and when you stop being frustrated, what would replace it? Calm. as coaches, we use this ancient wisdom, flipping negative to positive all the time, right? Okay. But I have a question for you to ponder, not for conversation here, because it would take several hours, I would guess, and we may not get an answer, but we'll have a great conversation. But the question is, if I am the client and Kathy is my coach, you could say, okay, we are opposites, so to speak. But if everything's on a continuum, where does Kathy end and where do I end? It's on a continuum. That has profound implications for coaching. We are on a continuum. We don't stop here at the skin level. There are still energy vibrations that go out. And at some point, we blend. Think of that. So polarities cannot be reconciled at the level that they exist. The Kybalion explains many levels, many levels. And eventually you get to the all, which includes all the levels. So here was another client story. I had a client who was the head of a large nonprofit organization that I'm sure all of you have heard of, so therefore I won't name it. He also wanted to earn an income at least double what he was earning. Have you ever had a client that wanted to make more money? He wanted a different nonprofit organization, or maybe the public sector, so he could make a larger impact with his passion for environmental reform, global environmental reform. And he affirmed his paradox with great certainty. You can just hear him now. The only way I can double my salary is to go to the private sector, and I don't want to go into cutthroat business. I cannot make the money I want and need in this nonprofit world. Does he have to pick one and forfeit the other? No. He needs to look at it from another level, which he did, and he ended up getting an amazing job. So let me explain how that happens. And if you allow, I'm going to read a poem that I wrote to try to make sense of this for myself, and the poem helped me, so maybe it'll make it clear. I wrote it in 2003. It's called Inside a Paradox. I twist to the left, I twist to the right. I push laterally with all my might. The paradox lurches extremely out of bounds. Acoustical reverberations, boomeranging sounds, echoes return, slapping me in the ears, stuck in paradoxical paralysis, front and arrears. I must escape, get out of this mess. To outsmart the paradox commands my best. I disengage and see a peephole above, a space no bigger than would fit a glove. A dove brings peace, no olive branch. To lift up a level, I'll take a chance. Up I ride, looking down as I go. The paradox shrinking way down below. And finally the lines converge into one. The paradox resolved, there is only one. Calm surrounds from my perch up high. To the stressed paradox, I say goodbye. Yes, we must raise above the level of the paradox to a higher vibrational level. We will practice higher vibrational levels shortly. So, we move to a place that encompasses both sides of the coin, both opinions. And we find a place where both are true and valid. And the way we do this, mentalism. We have to change our mind. When you change your mind, you raise your vibration. If your intention, remember the intention, Plato thingy, there are considerations for the intention. We have to take those into account. When do we plant the seed? What is our consciousness and awareness when we're planting it? And so on. This is what we do with beliefs and assumptions with our clients. We help them identify what the opposite is and then find a place where both can be true, and for that they need a different perspective. But you know, living in a paradox doesn't mean one has to resolve it. Excuse me. We have to remember that our role in coaching is not to fix the client or the situation based upon what we think we should happen. I had a client who, for years was debating whether she should marry this guy. And I realized I had inside the need to help her get to closure, but I bit my tongue and didn't go there. And what came out was using the sandwich in silence. You know, I went into silence and I basically said to myself, or something, what do I do now? And this is what came to me. Are you committed to doing this now? And she said, no, can I have a little more time, please? I said, of course, it's up to you. She said, thank you. After the coaching was done, 1.5 years later, she called me back and said, I'm getting married now. And you were the only one in my life who allowed me to be in this space. Because my friends, my family, everybody said, do it, do it, do it. You allowed me, and that was very special. Thank you. So we have to remember that as much as we might want the paradox resolved, sometimes it's not the right timing. Did you pick up anything? Well, yeah. Anything for establishing and maintaining the agreement? Any actions occur to you? Or awareness? Okay. Let's go to competency number 4. The more we get into this, the more I'll be engaging you. So we're setting the foundation now. Thank you for those notes in the chat. I appreciate that. Things like the reminder that both opposites can be looked at. Sandwiching is letting the client explore. Very good. Thank you. So competency 4 is cultivates trust and safety. I don't have very much to say about that because I think that's a lot of the conversations we have these days as coaches, but I want to just relate it to the ageless wisdom. Trust and safety is about what happens between you and the client. And the next one, maintains presence, is what's happening with you. So trust and safety is between the two of you. And the words that are used, again, I'll read them in the competency, but they're all dunamis space words. Respect, trust, support, empathy, concern, humility, understanding context. That's pretty important in dunamis. And the client's identity, these two are very often in ethics also, understanding context and understanding the client's identity. And Kathy came and did a presentation to our group, did a wonderful presentation on all of this. So I know you guys are getting even more than what we got in 1 hour. And acknowledging uniqueness. It's all space of dunamis. The way the Kybalion describes trust and safety is experiencing oneness and trust so the energy can flow freely in the space. Okay? Knowing deep in your soul that the timing of everything is perfect. That's so important. The timing is perfect for both of you, not just for the client or just for you. Mastery in Kybalion terms is not about reaching a high vibrational level and staying there. Mastery is learning how to navigate among the different levels as appropriate in the moment. I still do, I jest and say, if God or if the All wanted us to get mastery and be up there on top of the mountain, we would have more mountains on planet Earth. But we don't. We are down at the bottom of the mountain, interacting with everybody and learning. So it's not about staying up there. It's learning how to stay at the different levels and move, navigate as appropriate. That was one of the biggest ahas I ever got in my life. So maintain presence then is the next one. That's what's going on inside of the person. Mindfulness has been sweeping through our profession beautifully so. So this is a more familiar competency. I'm going to zero in on the words being fully conscious and comfortable in a space of not knowing. The dunamis space, but the space of not knowing. Remember, the Kybalion mission is to teach all those who are ready to listen to the secrets of the invisible universe. That's another way of saying the space of not knowing. Coaches have to be open to the unknown and trust that every moment brings something of value. And ready for this? It's a tongue twister. We need to know what we need to know when we need to know it. Here's a true example. Where I used to live, I had the computer in front of me, and here was a large glass sliding door. And I was working with a serious situation with a client on a Zoom call. And all of a sudden, on my left, I hear a huge thud. And I look, and I see that a little bird had hit the glass door and was probably knocked a bit dazed or unconscious on the patio. Within a nanosecond, a huge bald eagle, wings spread all the way apart, came swooshing in, grabbed the poor little thing by its talons and flew off. And I was like, and I turned around, I was shocked, and the client said, "What just happened?" And I took a breath in, and I said, "An eagle just came here for a moment. Do birds mean anything to you, like particularly eagles? Are there any messages in this?" And the client said, "Oh my God, yes!" And then told me all about his relationship with birds and eagles and the message, what it was, and it turned around the conversation and the issue. I didn't get the eagle to come at that moment. I trusted that anything that would be in my space during a coaching call has value. I'm the detective. I have to figure out what the value is. Actually, I gave it to the client. No coincidences. Yeah, right. Amazing. I'll never forget that. So I jumped. One more tongue twister. Have you ever used this question with yourself or with a client? What do you know that you don't know that you know? Yeah. What do you know that you don't know that you know? People will answer it. At first, they look confused, which is wonderful. Beginning coaches are always frightened by the confused look. They think they're not doing a good job. But it's a gift to see a confused look. And it's the same all around the world, I understand. The furrowed brow. Because it means space is being created for learning, for something new to come in. Isn't that what we want with clients? Space for learning to come in. Well, this question does it. Even when I'm asked it, and I use it all the time with others. What do you know that you don't know that you know? See, I can't even say it without having that confused face. It's a wonderful question. Presence for the Kybalion encompasses multi-level connection coming from space and silence within the coach, who can both inspire and expire precious life energy. That's what allows us to be present, our breath. So let's all feel grateful as we take a deep inhale. And then exhale. That felt good. Let's do that one more time. In. Out. That allows us to be present. When you are current, your current is strong. Being present enables connection with a greater number of possibilities from which to choose in this moment. This is not Kybalion now. This is a tidbit from neuroscience. Neuroscience hypothesizes there are 15 billion possibilities available in one moment. 15 billion. That's a lot. Human beings are capable of being present with 15 of those 15 billion. But most people, certainly me, are not capable of 15. For most of us, it's 7 or 8. Just perspective on that. So by being present, we can get into 7 or 8 possibilities. But if we're really, whatever, wise, we can increase that number a little bit. And ancient wisdom refers to presence as being aligned with the purposefulness of the universe, valuing the vastness and at the same time being a small part of it. That's what presence means. Okay. Let's go to listens actively. Competency number 6. This one immediately brings up a different principle, the principle of correspondence, and then I'll follow it with the principle of vibration. In ancient wisdom, they talk about opening to the power of truth to emerge through mindful awareness. And correspondence enables us to explore things that are hidden within. I need to get something. And humans can reason intelligently then from the known to the unknown. So give me 1 second. Thank you. And the Kybalion uses these words, which some of you might have heard before, as above, so below. As below, so above, right? This awareness helps us make sense of planes that we don't know. And it's known as the universal law. It exposes obstacles that are hidden from view. Okay, to demonstrate this, I need my mirror. It's not a trick, it's just a mirror. Oh my goodness. I forgot to comb my hair before I started. Nothing's happening. That's because I'm fixing what is outside, not what is inside. Fixing outside doesn't change a thing because, and this is the most important sentence I'm going to say in this webinar, everything outside is merely a reflection of what is inside. The outside informs us, it reveals, it gives clues, it gives messages, it alerts us that there's something needed to work on inside. I'll repeat the basic sentence again. Everything outside is merely a reflection of what is inside, so that we can work on it inside. And then we can reason from what we know, all the stuff that's inside, to the unknown, to uncover things that are hidden. What is hidden? Oh, I have a whole list here. Let's see which ones you come up with. I hope I get to add to my list. What is hidden inside us? One of them are feelings, emotions. What else is hidden? Put it in the chat or speak up, whatever. Sensations, right? That's another one. Experiences. Some of the experiences are hidden and some of it is external and not hidden, both. So yes, stored memories. Right. Very good. I don't even have the word memories up here. Good. They are definitely hidden. Habits can be inside. Thinking habits especially, thoughts. Habits can also be outside. Insecurities, yes. By Kate. Knowledge, yes. Paula, knowledge is inside. You guys are good. Yeah. Trauma definitely can be hidden way down if necessary. Intuition is inside. Love is hidden, unless it's expressed in certain ways, but love, faith, yes, spirituality, very good. Our imagination, that's inside. And fear, yes, that's an emotion. Look at how much is hidden inside of us. And we can't access it by combing the mirror. And the space of dunamis. Let's not forget that now that we have that in our vocabulary. So sometimes the mirror out there is fuzzy. Like I would say this one. That reflection is pretty fuzzy down there. Okay. Sometimes it's a little less fuzzy. We're at a higher vibration. This one is a little less fuzzy. Sometimes there are spaces or gaps in what we see. See the reflection? There's some spaces here. And sometimes when our vibration is clear and we are in a good space, we see a clear reflection. That, I would say, is the goal. To learn enough about our own self, our self-awareness, that we can get clear connection. At least that's my goal. Okay. Do you know that human beings are the only animals, I would say, have the only brain in the animal kingdom, call it that way, who can witness themselves? This is an anomaly in human evolution, animal evolution, and it helps us explore what is inside. We can witness ourselves. Yeah, self-awareness is another one that is inside. Pain. You guys have a great list. I'm adding to mine as I read these. Everything is a mirror of us. Keep your mirror as clean as you can. Another reason to take care of your body. Keep your mirror clean. Have any of you, talking about as above, so below, have any of you noticed that there are similarities between the clients you have, their problems, their issues? Yeah, I see some. The challenges, right? I think our clients are given to us for us to learn. We are being paid for us to learn about ourselves so that we can have a more clear mirror. Clients are our mirrors. Yeah. Right. Thank you, Sophia. And when your clients get big ahas, do you sometimes piggyback and go, oh, that's a good one for me too? That's all the awareness of as above, so below. I have heard many times over the years a student saying to me, I can't coach anyone who has financial problems because my finances are a mess. And I ask, are you in the process of cleaning it up? Oh, yes, definitely. I have, consolidated credit cards. I have a plan. Da, 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 da. I said, well, then you can be a brilliant coach. As long as you're in process dealing with your issues, you can coach. If you were completely stuck, then I would have a question. Okay? So as long as we're in process. Another significant issue of the principle of correspondence is the connection with the grandest perspective, which I would call in coaching the life lessons. And with this principle, we can have macro conversations so that clients can learn life lessons and then apply it to their current situation. One story is never going to be the same as the next story. So I don't know what you've learned or what your perspective is, I prefer not to coach the stories because they come and go. I prefer to get at the grander, the larger issue going on. I'll give you a little example. I call these highly leveraged coaching moments. And it allows us to tap into macro learning. Your client comes in and you ask the opening question of some sort. What could we create together today that would bring some meaningful learning in the context of our coaching agreement? Kathy, time check. I have another half hour, right? You're mute. Just nod your head. Do I have another half hour?
Yes. Yes, you're good.
Oh, good. So you ask the client the question and your client says, I'm stuck. I'm stuck because I'm supposed to carve a talking stick for our opening ceremony at our upcoming Indigenous event, and I want it to be just right. I say, what is important about this carving challenge for you? Notice what I do with the phrase, what is important? And the client says, well, what's important is that the product is authentic and something I can be proud of contributing to this event. And why is it important for you to contribute something authentic? Well, it shows my colleagues I care about them and our work together, and it'll feel good. And what is important about showing you care? Well, then I make good decisions that show that I value quality and I am respectful of their culture. Well, might it be useful today or not to explore how you know you're making good decisions? And then we can apply what you've learned to the talking stick situation, maybe other situations as well. Now you're set up, if the client says yes, you're set up for coaching decision making. It's a much bigger issue than carving a particular stick, but you can apply it again and again and again. In summary, the principle of correspondence, and this is on your handout that you will receive, and how it relates to active listening. One, our clients, as was said right there, Sophia, our clients provide us with a mirror of the lessons we need to learn. Two, when we explore things that are hidden within, we can reason intelligently from the known to the unknown. Three, all of our stories and our clients' stories are thrown at us, so we can make progress learning our life lessons. Just think, you're being paid to learn. Isn't that an amazing profession? And finally, to move towards a life lesson, ask, what is important about this for you? And why is that important? And maybe again, if necessary, and why is that important? And you will get bigger and bigger arena to coach in. If you never thought of the idea of your own life lessons, my suggestion, not now, not here, but for moving ahead, might be to give some thought to, what are my life lessons? How am I doing? Which ones have I already done well with? Which ones I think are coming up? It's good reflection. There's one more piece about listens actively. And this is the principle of vibration. Vibration. Vibration could be talked about with any of the competencies, but I'm going to talk about it now with listens actively. How many of you think you can actually, or have actually experienced being in someone else's body, your clients, while coaching? Anyone experienced that? Okay, good, good. I'm getting some yeses in different ways. Okay, I'm going to give you an exercise now so you can do that. You're going to pay attention to your body to learn about my body by deleting your inner self-talk, your inner chatter, deleting it. And you'll be listening to my story, a true story. This is a different way of doing coaching mindset, I think. Now, do any of you ever think about what you're going to say while your client is speaking? No confessions needed. Practically everybody does it a lot. Not everybody, but practically everybody. So then who becomes more important at that point, you or the client? You. That's right. Is that client-centered? So here we go. In a moment, I'm going to speak to you for about a minute and a half about something true that happened to me. And as soon as you understand the instructions, please begin to follow them. I will then pause, and then I will ask you some questions after the pause. The purpose of this exercise is to delete self-talk. And to do that, I invite you to listen carefully and repeat silently inside your head exactly what I am saying, just the way I'm saying it, with the intonation, with the volume, the pausing, the pace, the diction, the emphasis, in any way you possibly can. Match inside your head how I am expressing myself. I will turn off the video so I'm not distracting you visually. In 1970, I went spelunking, which is caving in the earth. I had done a little bit of caving before, but not much. There were 3 other people. One was a guide, thank goodness. In those days, we wore head-to-foot heavy denim beige coveralls with a lantern like a flashlight over our third eye. So we were in the cave, about to crawl through a tunnel that was maybe 7 inches above my belly. I was lying on my back, and in order to locomote in the tunnel, I had to push my heels in the muddy bottom to move myself inch by inch. My goal was to get to the other end of the 17-foot tunnel alive. There was somebody in front of me and somebody behind me. All of a sudden, I thought, I am deep in the earth. And I started to have a momentary panic, momentary claustrophobia. I was scared. My heart was pounding loudly. My breathing quickened. And I heard the guide calmly say, just focus on your feet, put your heel in and push back a couple of inches and feel yourself move. Then do that again and again, and you will come out of the tunnel. I did come out of the tunnel into a magical huge space that had a little waterfall where I could stand up and stretch. I made it, and I'm here to tell this story today. Did anybody have time for their own self-talk? The exercise is over. No, you did a good job. Okay. So what comes back to you? Any words, any feelings? What comes back?
Yeah.
Some people had feelings. Muddy shoes. Feel being in the tunnel. Yeah, people will have different things deep in the earth, moving step by step. My breathing was almost a panic. Yeah, the body doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. You may have heard that before. Right. So thank you for going along with this with me. Whatever you got after you stopped doing that is what is of value to pick up the thread of the conversation with the client. It might not be what you expected. You know, for the feelings, people might say, well, I wasn't being a client, so I might address the feelings if that's what you was strongest. If it was the words, moving step by step, or muddy shoes, then you might just say muddy shoes, and the client will pick up. So you can get into the body of your client. It's pretty amazing. So you may want to try that. Whatever comes back, the word I have to put in here is trust. I haven't said that. Trust that whatever comes back is the right thing to come back. Whatever it is, don't question it. That's client-centered. Let's do more with vibration. Every word has a different vibration. I'm now going to invite you to participate in an exercise where I'm going to say 2 different words. After each one, just pay attention internally to your body. See how each word feels, its intensity. How expansive of a word is it for you? How localized? Where is it located? Okay, and you can put your thoughts in the chat. The first word is question. The second word is answer. And answer. Where did you feel that? Right. Same place? Different place? Same place. Did they feel the same, if I may ask you? No, it felt different. Yeah. Yeah. So what vibrations do we want our clients to experience? Some of that depends upon the words we choose to use. Yeah, that's a new way of thinking. Ancient wisdom says we have the capacity to have perfect control over our mental states, moods, and emotions. Not partial, perfect. And thoughts have no different vibration than words. Thinking, question, or speaking it will be the same vibration. So thoughts are so powerful. Careful what you think about yourself and your clients when you're coaching. Okay. Let's go to Competency 7, Evokes awareness. Awareness is allowing wisdom to emerge. It's there. Allow it to emerge. It serves as a carrier for purposefulness, fulfillment, and the evolution of our soul. We have a big emphasis on awareness. And matter of fact, I was there when we started the profession. We had 2 reasons to create coaching as a profession. One was increased client awareness, and the second was increased client responsibility, the ability to respond to the awareness. That's why we're in the profession. And I think these new competencies are more in alignment with that beginning and with the spiritual wisdom. I was very excited to read them. So awareness opens doors for new expansion, elevation, and depth. That's what awareness offers us. And learning is hazardous to our status quo. We, as coaches, have developed the tools and the skills to shake up stuckness so people go past the status quo. One other piece of ageless wisdom I always found interesting. It comes from mentalism, and it has to do with vibration. Thoughts, emotions, mental states, they all have a vibration, and all vibrations move in a circular orbit, either this way or that. They spin clockwise to move the energy outside of your body into the space around us, and they move counterclockwise to pull in energy from the external world. Interesting to know. Of course, most of us know that the mental has a direct impact on the physical. You say affirmations and intentions, and you're influencing the body. You're changing it. As vibrations spin faster and faster, spiritual essence is released in the form of sound and light energy. Sound and light energy, always available to be released. We have within us spiritual light waiting to be released. I have seen it in not osteopath, homeopathic doctor's office. She had a big television screen, and she said, I want to show you something. I think you need to know this. Can I prick your finger? I said, okay. This is pre-COVID. And she put it on a slide, and then I saw it on the screen. And I was looking inside my body. There were all these cells and antibodies and all kinds of things on the screen that I had only seen in biology books. This was the best TV show I have ever seen. What's that? Oh, those are antibodies coming to that. You see that cell over there? There's something not right with it. They're coming like an army to surround it. You're kidding. This is going on inside of me? Uh-huh. And inside of each cell was a little sun, a little light. This was real, folks. I wasn't making this up. I saw it. We have within us spiritual light waiting to be released. And at further vibrations, the molecules break down into etheric substance. That's where the word ether comes from in our vocabulary. This is the area in between energy and matter. Ether. Some vibrations with a little nudge will come out as thoughts. That's where thoughts, I always wondered, where do thoughts come from? Now I know. And when you add emotion to those thoughts, it's like fuel. You really fire them up and it's even stronger. And we call that consciousness. I had to get something from 2,300 years BC to understand how life works. And I'm very grateful for that book hitting me on the shoulder. Sometimes you have to speed up in order to manifest something on the mental plane. Sometimes you have to slow down. I'm going to show you a top that I have, but I photographed it on the movie for you instead. 15 seconds. See what happens. Still looking for heaven on earth? My point in that is at the beginning, you didn't see any words at all because it was spinning. It's like a hummingbird. It's like a little box that just moves. You can't see the wings because it goes so quickly. That's all about vibrations. Let's raise vibration now. Anyone know how to do that? Anyone played around with raising vibrations? I will put, if I can, I will put in the chat 25 stimulate the vagus nerve. Ooh, how would you do that? Right here. Where's the vagus nerve? This isn't going in the
Okay.
chat. I can't get this to go in. I may have to. Can you tell me where the vagus nerve is? Yes. Humming. There we go. Okay. Humming. I tried to do it deep breathing. Yes, right. I'm not able to transfer this. I have collected over the years 25 common ways to raise vibrations. Oh, I can put it on screen share and you guys can take a picture. Right? Okay. Coming up. Those of you who have the technology, you can just take a picture of this. Being of service, meditating, yoga, martial arts, being in nature, love, mindfulness, being in or near the water. A lot of books are coming out now about the power, the intelligence of water. Spontaneity, journaling, Sufi dancing, that's vibration in itself, moving very quickly. Eating organic foods, exercise, music, chanting. And I wrote some of the music. I did a week-long class in music and vibrations. So I put some of the composers down here. Everybody have it already? Perhaps I will also give it to Kathy afterwards if you. Okay. So let's do that in this moment. Oh, we have 5 minutes. Let's not do that in this moment. And you take the list and you try it out on your own. What I will quickly say about facilitating clients' growth, that's the external. I will say one thing that's my favorite axiom from the Kybalion. It goes like this: the possession of knowledge, unless accompanied by manifestation or an expression in action, is a vain and foolish thing. Knowledge is intended for use, which is why I was asking you to jot down some actions, different points that you could take, because the possession of knowledge is not yours and doesn't belong to you until you have used it. That's a Kybalion thought. And I think that's exactly what the last competency for us is. Facilitating clients' growth. What are they going to do in the real world? So, I hope none of you will be vain and foolish, and you will take some steps to identify and act on anything you've learned from our time. So this webinar will not have been a vain and foolish endeavor. And Kathy will probably say a few words. I'm going to put one more share screen. It's okay, just with my message, happy coaching, and I'm always happy to receive questions or success stories. This is my quick introduction to the Kybalion. I thank you all so much for participating and being with me in this. And thank you, Ken.
Awesome. Thank you, Teri. To share with all of you, Teri has been working so hard on this because it was only 90 minutes and she wanted to have more time. So this was a wonderful, wonderful presentation.
Different, huh? Now you have some sense of the coaching profession evolving from ageless wisdom, right? Amazing.
Oh, good, good. Yes, Sophia, we will of course send the YouTube link out afterwards so that you'll have access to it. You can come back and listen again.
Thank you.
So, amazing. And I'm guessing for the last 2 minutes we've got, if anyone's got a question, feel free.
To raise vibration. Oh, go ahead, Ruth.
I have a question. So, I wouldn't be here if it didn't fascinate me. This totally fascinates me. I'm curious what other people do to get ready to coach, right? So I don't mean like get off the treadmill, wash your hands, race in, log in. Like, what do you do to prepare yourself? I mean, I know what I personally do, but I'm interested in hearing what other people do to prepare themselves to literally create that space. Because for me, if I don't create that space, none of this happens. So I'd love to hear what other people are doing to literally create that space.
The synchronicity is amazing. I just have to say that. I just finished a global skills practice with that exact focus with 20 people on the line. And what I can tell you is there are very many different things, from pacing, never would have thought of that, to going outside and hugging a tree, to imagining a bubble around the client, a bubble around you, and then put the bubbles together. What do others do?
I've heard people talk about lighting candles, meditation, or yoga. The different processes for, okay, taking everything going on in my head, all that chatter, putting it aside to really be present. Sophia's putting a few in. Meditation, prayer, and setting attention, asking the universe for help, expressing gratitude. Yeah. That's good. Teri, how do you want to close?
I never like closing. I'm totally speechless. And instead, I'm aware that my heart feels very full and connected. So I'll express those words. I don't have any words right now. The possession of knowledge, unless expressed in action or manifestation, is a vain and foolish thing. Knowledge is intended for use. Go out and try things. Yeah. This is my passion. I have from the graduates of the longer class course that I do on this, we have a weekly meeting every week. None of us would miss it except for dire circumstances. And I look forward to it. It was right before this presentation. Being able to understand how life works. After all, I'm living it. I want to do a better job. Makes me tick. This has been very wonderful being with you. Thank you. That's the worst part about coaching, is having to say goodbye to a client. I've never learned goodbyes. So I asked my first mentor coach in 1987, how do I handle goodbyes? She said, look up rituals. That's what rituals are about. They help. So I have this elaborate graduation with pomp and circumstance and graduation hats to try to help me deal with saying goodbye. But then I have to remember that I'm made up of all the little pieces of people I have met over the 75 years. So I do have them with me. It's not really goodbye, it's just a different form. Maybe that's my closing. So, ciao, aloha, adios, auf Wiedersehen, sayonara, and a couple others. Thank you.
And to the ongoing connection.
I'm going into the unknown now. Not knowing field. Are we still recording?
We are. Yes.
Oh.
So, I will, to me, that was a really helpful part. So, it was good. Thank you. Thank you all.